Okay, we all set?
Everyone's in.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, good evening. I am calling this public meeting to order at 6 p.m. in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGLC 131, Section 40, and the Boston Wetlands Ordinance, Boston City Code Ordinances, Chapter 7. 1.4, the Boston Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public hearing this evening, which is September 17th, 2025, to review the following projects to determine what conditions, if any, the commission will impose in order to protect the interests of the public and private water supply, groundwater, prevention of pollution, flood control, prevention of storm damage, protection of fisheries and land containing shellfish, and protection of wildlife habitat. This evening's hearings will be followed by our regular meeting, and in accordance with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, we are conducting this meeting online to ensure public access to the deliberations of the Conservation Commission. The public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. Additionally, the meeting is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, please turn off your video. Members of the public may have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself. Send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. For the record, I am Michael Parker, Chair of the Commission. Could staff please identify themselves?
Elena Itamari with the Environment Department.
Dee Dee Hernandez with the Environment Department.
Do you know where the clicker is?
Max Hartledge with the Environment Department.
Okay, great. Now I'll call the roll of commissioners who are present. Commissioner Sullivan.
John Sullivan. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Linay.
Me and Linay.
Okay, Commissioner Smargiassi.
Steve Esty Smargiassi.
Great, thank you. Sorry about that. I forgot. Okay, so just want to note that one of our hearings has been continued. It was third on the agenda. It was is notice of intent for DEP file number unassigned and Boston file number unassigned from Epsilon Associates on behalf of Channelside Acquisitions LLC for the proposed construction of a publicly accessible overlook over the Fort Point Channel, construction of retaining walls, platform, and seating for a future public amphitheater, and minor regrading at 15 Necco Street and 244 to 284 A Street, South Boston, waterfront. Resource area is 25-foot waterfront area, land under ocean, coastal bank, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. So again, if there's anybody on for that hearing, that has been continued. Hopefully we will see that proponent in 2 weeks. So back to the order this evening. First item we have on the agenda tonight is notice of intent for unassigned DEP file number and Boston file number from Childs Engineering on behalf of the Flatley Company for the proposed repairs to the spalled concrete underdeck, pile caps, and beams, and the replacement of a section of damaged fender system to the Domino Sugar Pier, 425 Medford Street in Charlestown. Resource areas are designated port area, land under ocean, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, 25-foot riverfront, and 25-foot waterfront. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Hi, this is Andrew Nilsson from Childs Engineering.
And Robert Mitchell from Childs Engineering.
Great. Okay, floor is all yours.
All right, thank you all for hosting us tonight. So again, my name is Andrew Nilsson. We're with Childs Engineering, myself and Robert. We're representing Flatley in this particular instance. They are the applicant for this project. The project is located in Charlestown on the Mystic River at the Domino Sugar Pier. I've got a photo of it on the screen right now. If you could go to the next slide, we can see a larger photo of the area. Nearest street is Medford Street. So the purpose of the project is to just do some minor repairs to the pier itself. Bobby's going to talk a little bit more about what we're doing and why we're doing it, but overall, we're not changing the function of the pier. We're merely just providing some protection for it so it can continue to function, and then some needed structural repairs. I'll just pass it along to Bobby right now.
Great, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Can we go to the next slide? So the facility, as you can see in the last slide, it's an L-shaped pier with the main section of the pier running parallel to the river and the shore. It's constructed with concrete decks, concrete beams, and concrete pile cap elements, and is supported by wrap steel pile and batter piles. And along the north face of the pier, facing out towards the Mystic River, is a fender system consisting of timber piles, timber chocks, rails, and a rubber fender unit. Next slide, please. This pier was last inspected this year in March by us. We found that the concrete underdeck was in fair condition with corrosion spalling up to 100 square feet, 3 inches deep with exposed reinforcing bars. And this corrosion spalling was found on the underdeck beams and the pile caps. The fender system we found to be in serious condition with fungal decay, checking, splitting, corrosion, impact damage, and broken or missing members. And the fender system on the northeast side from bent 2 to 9 has completely failed, with piles in this section missing, broken, or wild, and the chocks, whales, and rubber members missing or significantly deteriorated. If you go to the next slide, and in this left image here, you can see that 100-foot area in the top right of the pier there's practically no fender system there that is still usable. And on the image to the right, you can see kind of where the typical spalling is on the concrete members, on the corners of the pile caps and on the beams. Next slide, please. These images show the corrosion spalling on the cap to the left, where you can see a reinforced bar exposed due to corrosion spalling. And on the right, you can see more open corrosion spalling on the underdeck. This is like the largest area we found on the pier, where it's about 100 square feet with a large amount of reinforced bars exposed. Next slide, please. The existing fender system has a lot of issues like decay, missing piles, wild piles, broken piles, and you can see that in the photo to the left where there's a smaller pile. It's just broken about at high tide line. And if you look to the photo to the right, you can see, if you look down the pier, about that 100-foot length where the fender system is not doing anything. You can see that there's 2 wild piles there, and if you look towards the water, it's tough with the reflection, but you can see 2 piles broken just above the water level at low tide, and there's no fender elements on the side of the pier like there is for the remainder of the pier. Next slide, please. Our proposed upgrades for this pier are to repair the concrete spalling by chipping back to sound concrete and installing reinforcing bars where the reinforcing bars are corroded or broken, and then forming and pouring new concrete into those areas. And then for the fender system, the plan is to remove broken timber fender piles, drive new timber fender piles to replace the ones that were removed, and then replace missing and damaged or broken fender elements with new chocks and rails of the same size. And then instead of using 2 rubber fenders, we'll use 1 large rubber fender and new connection hardware. Next slide, please. These sections are showing the proposed repairs. On the top 3, you can see the concrete repairs where we would be chipping back to sound concrete, installing the new reinforcing steel where necessary, and then forming and pouring it so it's the same footprint as before. And then on the bottom, you can see the repairs for the fender system. And we're pretty much replacing everything in kind with the same size chocks, the same kind of system design, with the exception of the rubber fender unit on the large rubber fender unit, where you're going to use 1 large unit instead of the 2 smaller that the original pier had. Next slide, please. For the construction sequence, the plan is to install siltation curtain and debris broom around the construction site, chip back concrete to sound concrete, and replace any corroded or damaged reinforcing steel, clean the existing concrete, and place formwork around the spalled areas of the concrete members, and then pour concrete into those spalled areas that have been recently cleaned. And for the fender system, the sequence is to pull broken timber piles and then drive new piles where they've been pulled, install and connect new fender elements where existing ones are broken or missing. And then at the end, we will remove all construction equipment from the site. Next slide. Construction methods for this project. Construction will be conducted from a barge that, along with the pier, will be used for storage and staging of materials. Along with the barge, the contractor will likely use small floating platforms to conduct the work on the underside of the pier and utilize small utility boats when needed, depending on the tide schedule. And construction for this project is expected to last 1 to 4 months. Next slide, please. And any questions?
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, and I think Andrew introduced you as Bobby. Is that?
Yeah,
Wait,
that's fine.
Okay, great. Okay, so couple quick questions on the siltation and debris control measures. We have a letter here from DMF. Have you seen this letter?
Yeah, we got it today.
Okay, so you did talk about the debris boom and the silt curtains. Also, what we'd be putting in as a special condition here is that the barges should be positioned below the demolition work.
I mean, the work floats, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Well, actually, the letter says below the demolition work. That could be dangerous, right?
Well, so in order to access the work being done underneath the pier, they're going to have to put small floats under there. They're likely going to be like timber floats that they'll just bring in off the larger boat, put them in the water, and then they'll have staging on top of that because depending on the tide, it may be 10 to 15 feet above their head. So they're going to be placed directly under it anyway.
Okay, so it seems like we should make that slight correction to the special condition here.
Yep.
Elena, does that make sense to you?
Yes, that sounds good.
Okay, then a couple other things that they had here was time of year restriction, no in-water work. I assume you saw that February 15th through July 15th.
Yep, we saw that. We have no objections.
Okay, and then using vibratory driving and soft starts with there's a lot of detail in here about the timing and the sequencing of the soft starts. So we'd be putting that in there. Any issues there?
No, we believe that's all pretty standard procedure these days in Boston anyway. And for this, we're talking about fender piles here. There would only be vibratory work for this, no actual hammer work for this.
Okay. Okay, good. And then as far as pulling piles, direct pull or clamshell techniques. So lifted through the water column slowly. You know all this. We've been through this with you before. Barge is going to be equipped with a sediment containment basin.
Yeah, they'll have a barrier up on top of the barge.
Okay. Okay.
I believe-
And go ahead.
I can interrupt you. I believe the DMF said they'd rather not do the direct pull or clamshell. They'd rather do the
Yeah, correct. Rather than by direct pull or clamshell. Yep. Use a vibratory hammer.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. Okay. And then as far as the pull, are you going to be able to fully pull the piles, or will there be any cutting?
We anticipate that we'll be able to pull them. If we're unable to, they'll either be left in place if it's determined that they're not going to be a hazard to any vessels at the pier, or they'll be cut. The cutting is obviously the last resort because this project does not include any diving work, and that would be additional diving work.
Got it. Okay. Understood. Okay. That's all I have. Elena?
Thank you. Yes, beyond the DMF conditions, which we've now covered, we didn't have anything else to note.
Okay, thank you. Just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Sullivan, what do you have?
I had no questions.
Okay. Commissioner Linay.
I don't have any questions either. Thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Estes Margiassi?
No comments on this one.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any hands raised. Elena, did you get any emails?
No hands raised and no emails, so the only thing that we're missing is the DEP file number.
Yeah, right. Andrew, what's going on with that?
So we submitted payment, but we don't have a record of it being actually cashed at this point. So we will probably issue new payment, cancel previous, and then we just realize that will be continued to the next meeting.
Okay, okay. So with that, then I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing for 2 weeks.
So moved.
Give a second.
Second.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiassi,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 4-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, I saw a few members of the public join us. I just want to let you know that item number 3 on the agenda tonight, which is a notice of intent for DEP file number unassigned from Epsilon Associates on behalf of Channelside Acquisitions LLC for the proposed construction of a publicly accessible overlook over the Fort Point Channel, construction of retaining walls, platform, and seating for future public amphitheater and minor regrading at 15 Necco Street and 244 to 284 A Street in South Boston. Has been continued, and Elena, I don't know if the proponent requested the continuance for 2 weeks or unknown.
Yes, so it will be heard at the October 8th hearing.
Okay, so scheduled to be heard at the October 8th meeting if you're here for the Overlook project. Okay. Next item on the agenda is notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2071 and Boston file number 2025-032 from Weston and Sampson on behalf of the City of Boston Planning Department for the proposed installation of temporary deployable flood barriers and permanent concrete retaining walls to mitigate the independent flood pathway at 529 Main Street in Charlestown. Resource areas land subject to coastal storm flowage. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
I am here. Alex Gaspar from Weston and Sampson.
Great.
And Cassandra Martinez from Weston and Sampson.
And Ksenia Aquaviva, Planning Department.
Tony Capichetti with
great.
Weston and Sampson.
Okay. Got the full team on tonight. Okay. Floor is all yours. Alex?
Great, thank you. So yes, as mentioned, this is the Main Street Interim Flood Protection Project for which we submitted a notice of intent to the Boston Conservation Commission. We do have a DEP file number and have not to date received any technical comments from DEP. Next slide. Just did introductions a little bit, but joining us from the city, we have Ksenia Aquaviva, and then we have Cassandra Martinez, the project manager, and myself, Alexandra Gaspar, environmental permitting. So just to orient everyone, the official address for the project is 529 Main Street in Charlestown. So we have the site marked in red here on this map with Ryan Playground to the north, Sullivan Square to the west, along with 93. Next slide. Here's just another little locus. You can see we have the Schraff Center, and the Schraff Center is that building to the north, and the fire station is the one directly south. The project sort of extends along the sidewalk in front of the Schraff Center and the fire station, with the barrier being proposed to sort of go across the opening to the parking lot. I think I'll turn it over to Cassandra now to run you through the proposed project.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, so this project is part of the city's overarching efforts to implement short-term or interim measures to provide immediate flood relief as they wait for additional long-term coastal resilience projects to be designed and implemented, which would render these interim solutions obsolete at that time. So we're kind of in the top left corner of this image on the right here where it says Schraff Center. And so installing a deployable barrier here at Main Street in Charlestown, this is an independent flood pathway. And so the barrier will provide immediate and direct protection to the neighborhood on the proposed dry side of the barrier. We are planning for the 2030 1% annual exceedance probability right now with this barrier, and is protecting, it will protect the area in Sullivan Square, as well as Rutherford Avenue and the highway underpass in this area. Next slide, please. So this is, we have a couple slides kind of showing the proposed project. This is a bit of an overview slide. So there's kind of three main pieces to this project, two of which are deployables and one of which is a more permanent fixture. So the more permanent, or the permanent fixture, will be cast in place concrete walls here. So they're represented by the solid lines. And the deployable solutions are going to be stop logs as well as a lift swing gate. So if you want to go to the next slide. This highlights the concrete walls that we'll have. And so the Schroff Center is kind of in the top of this image. And then the bottom part, that building is the Boston Fire Department. And so this pathway, the flood pathway is through the Schroff Center driveway. It's a low point right now. And these concrete walls are meant to provide a higher elevation for us to tie the deployable solutions into the stop log and the swing gate. So you can see we have several hundred linear feet of concrete wall proposed, both along the backside of the bike lane in front of the Schroff Center, as well as behind the sidewalk on the other side of the driveway. We are going to be, there's Massport's property there where the CSX rail line is, it's inactive. And so that's where the gate will be. And then the concrete wall kind of takes a 90-degree turn and goes down by the fire department corner of the building. Next slide, please. So the deployable solutions, as I mentioned, are stop logs and a lift swing gate. So the stop logs are going to be, would be deployed across the driveway. It's about 60 linear feet, and they will be deployed when a flood event is predicted to come. And in the, normal situation, they would be removed. And then the lift swing gate to provide a bit more of a less invasive solution with the rails there, although inactive. There's going to be it'll be a 20-foot wide swing gate. And you'll note here, we note backflow preventer on here. It's going to be a gate valve, so there's a catch basin there, and to prevent water from flowing in the catch basin on the wet side out into the drain. On the dry side, we will be putting a valve on this drain manhole that would be closed during a flood scenario, so that water isn't making its way from the wet to the dry side underneath the barrier. Next slide, please. So this is mainly just to show you the stop logs will be 3 feet high. So if you're familiar or unfamiliar, they are like an aluminum dam board. They'll be easily deployed, and then there's going to be posts about every 8 feet that would be deployed as well. And both the posts and the logs will be removed when there is no flood. And as I mentioned, we're planning for the 2030 1%, which is a 17.5 Boston City base elevation. Next slide, please. And then this lift hinge gate detail slide shows you similarly, it's going to be 3 feet tall and 20 feet in width. Next slide, please. So in addition to the barrier, we have some site improvements to assist with making the barrier successful. So these stop logs need a nice level surface below them so that water cannot travel underneath when deployed. And so we'll be putting a raised crosswalk shown here in yellow across the driveway. And then we'll be doing grading improvements on either side of that driveway to ensure that there is a level surface and to make it ADA accessible for pedestrians and to ensure that continued pathway works. Next slide, please. So here's the plans, kind of shows you in blue the 3 property lines, and then in yellow the limit of work along outside the limit of work, we will be laying during construction compost filter tubes to prevent any sediment, as well as silt sacks in the catch basins that are within the limit of work and adjacent to it. And you can see here the rail tracks as well. Next slide, please. So just to hit home, so typically, you know, in a set flooding scenario, the water is coming in from the Mystic River and is traveling through the parking lot of the Schraff Center and then coming up through this driveway, right where it says 1% annual flood entry point in green on the left side. And so by putting this deployable in here, we'll be preventing water from continuing past the barrier into the surrounding neighborhood. So if you go to the next slide, it depicts the scenario where that barrier is shown in red, and the flooding will be prevented from that neighborhood. And I think I'll pass it back to Alex now.
Thanks, Cassandra. If you want to go to the next slide. So here's just our wetland resources map. As I'm sure many of you assumed, the site falls within the flood zone, which for this area is about 16.46 Boston City base. Next slide. Just outlining the impacts, we do have impact to land subject to coastal storm flowage, both temporary and permanent impact, for a total of almost 5,000 square feet. The temporary impact that accounts for the erosion controls that Cassandra just mentioned, the restoration of the existing sidewalks, the ancillary regrading and restoration of landscaped areas. And then our permanent impact is going to be the retaining walls and then that elevated pedestrian crosswalk. And I believe that is it. So I would love to open it up to questions.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so I've been following this for a while. I live in Charlestown, so naturally, it's been of interest. I also know that over at the Schraff Center, there's a large redevelopment that is planned. I know it's been through the BPDA approval process, and it calls for a lot of nice resiliency features. I think it's the 425 and 465 building parking lot, somewhere around there. So pretty nice public parks, walkways, things like that. How does this, I guess, is a twofold question. One is this configuration in any way would interfere with the plans for future redevelopment there. And two, as far as taking the future redevelopment away, it does look like there could be some impact to the Schraff Center itself. It feels like maybe you're holding the water in and would be causing more widespread flooding, maybe more velocitized flooding, I don't know, as a rebound effect to the Schraff Center. Also, I see that we have Boston Fire's facilities manager. So I'd extend the question as to any impacts to the fire department's infrastructure there. So I think I'll stop there.
Just so everybody on the call knows, this is Patrick Lee, facilities
Yeah,
director.
Patrick, I'll just, if you don't mind holding off, and I'll get
Yes.
you when we go to public. Thank you.
Yeah, so I can start off there. I might have someone else jump in, perhaps Cassandra or Tony on the redevelopment. But so this is, as I noted, an interim solution that the city is looking to implement pretty quickly to basically get to that, kind of 2030, but isn't meant to be longer term than that, whereas those redevelopments you've mentioned are likely to be planned for a longer horizon, like 2050 or 2070. You had mentioned potential concern of potential like velocity. So currently this pathway, it does narrow where the driveway is. And so by blocking that, and typically, when you have a narrower pathway, water will increase in velocity. So by blocking that pathway, we will be stopping that narrowing effect. So not allowing the water to increase in velocity. And so from the existing condition, if there were to be a flood, there is going to be water, that would come up against the side of the Schrafft's building and be in the big parking lot. But we wouldn't be making that condition any worse in this scenario, and would be preventing water from going like faster, essentially.
Okay. Okay. Another quick thank you for that. So another quick question I had here was, it shows the Ryan Playground is not being inundated. I know the Ryan Playground is usually pretty wet over there. I assume it's not showing that on your slides because it's taking into account the improvements that are being constructed there.
At the Ryan Playground itself, you're referring to?
Yeah.
That's correct. So this is the same model that was used for the Ryan Playground improvements. That's why it's not shown as being flooded, although there is some flooding a bit planned north that shows, but this is focusing on the pathway coming from the Schrafft's through the Schrafft's parking.
Okay, good. Thank you. Before I go to staff, just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. And also, just want to make sure that people just joined know that number 3 on the agenda, notice of intent for unassigned DEP file number from Epsilon Associates on behalf of the Channelside Acquisitions LLC for the proposed construction of a publicly accessible overlook over the 4-point channel, construction of retaining walls, platform, and seating for future public amphitheater and minor regrading of 15 Necco Street and 244 to 284 A Street has been continued, and we should be hearing that matter at our next meeting in 2 weeks. Okay, Elena, what do you have?
Thank you. Yes, just want to note that we had some site visit photos in the drive for the commission's review. We don't have any further concerns about this, and just again confirming that we have a DEP file number and a Boston file number for the project.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sullivan.
Yeah, who is this wall all on city property?
John, no, it's not all on city property. Part of it will go through Massport property that is leased on long-term basis to CSX, and we are currently undergoing project review with CSX and also tenant alteration application process with Massport, and Massport is fully aware of our designs and engineering, and they've reviewed it preliminarily and have given us green light, while obviously we are working with them on the TA process.
Yeah. And how deep is the foundation for a wall this high?
So the stem wall goes down 2.9 feet, and then the footings 1.2 feet. So it's just a touch
Just a
over
regular
4 feet. Yes.
And the stop, we talked stop logs across 60 feet. Are they have to be handled by equipment, or can they be handled by manpower?
So
Manpower.
those stop logs are pretty light. They're aluminum.
Aluminum. And
Yeah, and they're about 8 feet long and like 1 feet tall, so they're
Yeah.
easily stored and then just transported out with.
and
you know,
who's
by
the lucky
hand.
guy that gets to store them? Where are they kept?
I believe Lieutenant Lee is on the there's been arrangements made to use some area in the parking lot at Boston Fire
Okay.
to store this equipment. So it'll be very close to the site and can be easily deployed.
Now, I don't know that to be true. I was under the impression that I was giving space for the construction crew. I don't recall a conversation about storing these logs on a permanent basis. We can certainly have a discussion, but this is something that I would need to talk to my operations people, find out exactly what kind of footprint we're talking about.
Petrica will follow up.
Yep. Yep, no problem. I just bring it up. And either in the fire station or in the Shafts building, are there any windows that are to ground level that may have water ponding up against them? Should you put this barrier up and the flow comes?
So this won't cause a rise in elevation because it's such a broad flooding source, Mystic River into the harbor. There are potential openings in the Shafts building that could cause flooding, and we had a pre-filing discussion with BWSC, and one of the items that we are looking into is adding a shut-off that would have to be operated should water start entering into the Shafts building for their sanitary service.
Yeah. Well, no, every shot I get it on public record, so.
No, not a problem. That's, I
Get
knew
used to
exactly
it.
where you were going.
Get used to it. Yeah, so that's all I had. I mean, we still need to work out who's gonna deploy these deployables and how and when, et cetera. And so there's no wall on the property of Shafts. That's what I was more curious than anything. If we're going in the sidewalk area, or does the city already have an easement? Is the kind of question on the Shafts.
It's within the city's property. Yeah, we're not extending onto the Shafts property.
Yep.
With the wall.
Yep. All right. That's all I had.
The only
Okay.
disturbance on the Flatley property is the raised crosswalk. There's some regrading that enters the Flatley property, and we're in discussions to obtain a permanent easement for that crosswalk.
Yep. No problem. All right. Thanks. That's it.
Thank you. Reminded me of something that I forgot to mention, as far as the deployable flood barrier. What we've been asking for recently is maintenance of the barriers. So checking annually to make sure that they'll actually work when they need to work. So Ksenia, have you considered that?
Michael, we are in active discussion with our team members here, how we're going to handle it operations and maintenance wise, but point well taken and heard. That's what we're going to ensure. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. So maybe in the order of conditions, we'll have something that at some point you would submit to us, that operations and maintenance manual or report, whatever you have. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have been
Thank you.
working with the city on like an SOP and O&M manual that covers both like when these should be deployed and as well as how they're deployed, installed, and then that would include maintenance and any like spare parts they might want to consider having, etc. So
Chair Parker, I have a PS. When might this be built? I'm just curious what the plan of all of these things, when we think we'll start building them.
John, you mean the interim measures?
Yeah, just
so this one and the Martin Spark, we hope to complete in Q1 2026. So
okay.
basically bid them out in the next couple of months. And then the Sleeper, Congress Street, and Boston Children's Museum is going to come a little later.
Right. Okay. Now I am through.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Linay.
So when the stop logs are in place, is there a designated path of travel for pedestrians? Are they, because I can see the alignment of it is sort of diagonally across that crosswalk. So are they intended to then go into the bike lane, and will there be, signage or some kind of directional information?
yeah, that's a great.
Field
go
this
ahead,
one because
Tony.
Massport had the same question. So that raised crosswalk has been designed so the slope coming down is the same as a pedestrian curb ramp. When the deployables are put out, signage as well as temporary stick down detectable warning pads will be placed, and that'll be part of the O&M and SOP that'll direct pedestrians into the bicycle lane with signage saying bicycle lane closed in this area while the deployable's out. And we're hoping during the 2030 100-year storm event, we don't have too many pedestrians using the area.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And then I was curious, the wall, the concrete wall, I think it said stamped in the drawings. Is it a like a board formed kind of look, or?
So those are typically they make plastic liners that go in the forms. So when they cast it in place, it'll have the same texture. And this is something that we're working with Flatley on. They want to try and tie that wall into the look of their building. So aesthetically, it looks like it was something that was meant to be there as part of the landscape rather than just placed there for flood protection.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. To our other water guy, Commissioner Estes Marchiazzi.
Yeah, Commissioner Linnae picked up my questions on architectural treatment. I saw some really very nice looking flood barriers down in DC a few weeks ago, and thought I hope ours are almost as nice as those. We'll to be seen. Couple of observations for the city folks. If you're storing stuff, they better be locked. The aluminum stock logs are really valuable. They go to the scrapyard real fast if they're not secured. So that all of ours are in locked grade level cabinets, poured pad, and a box over the top padlocked. So to be thinking about that. Who activates, who installs, how's that work out? Who makes this decision to block off the garage? And because there's going to be a storm of a certain size, that's a pretty big decision to figure out how that's going to operate.
Stephen, so as I mentioned, well, and as Cassandra mentioned, we do have an SOP, and those things I mentioned there, we're coordinating with the Office of Emergency Management, who ultimately will be the main coordinating agency for any operations, but we're figuring out operational capacity for deployable floodgates, because as you might know, this is not the only deployable measure we're planning. There's going to be a lot of them coming online as part of our permanent infrastructure in the next couple of years. So the city is going to have to figure out operational capacity to deploy these measures throughout the city.
We've got sort of priority list to, start at the lowest spot and work your way up so that you're keeping ahead of the water levels. Is this intended to stay forever? It's described as an interim measure. There's a redevelopment. Is it going to stay, or is it going to, as part of redevelopment, going to be replaced, removed?
So when the Schrafft's coastal measures are going to be up and running, I think this is going to be redundant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether, Timo, we're going to be taking this off, or it's probably just going to be redundant, I guess.
The walls would probably stay. It doesn't make sense to take the permanent walls down. It does provide you, a bit of redundancy, as Ksenia was saying, that, should there be a breach or a failure, those could be deployed.
Yeah, it looks like a good project solving a relatively simple solution to a relatively large area flooding. So glad to see it's being installed soon. So that doesn't have a very long life if your target's 2030 flooding.
That's exactly the idea, Stephen. Thank you.
All set?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Lieutenant Lee, I'm sorry. I blocked you off before. Did you have anything else to add besides the storage question that Commissioner Sullivan asked?
No, nothing really to add. The design team's been fantastic about keeping me abreast. They've even made a slight change to the drawings to facilitate our apron. Have we experienced flood through this corridor before? Is this a lesson learned type of project?
Not that I'm aware of, unless Weston and Sampson teams knows otherwise. This is a 2030 flood pathway, so hopefully not going to materialize with this measure in place in the years to come.
And I guess just one last thing. Please don't think of me as Kurt. Just the understanding of storage and construction. I may have been confused, and we could certainly discuss that further. We always strive to be good neighbors here at Boston Fire.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you for keeping us safe in Charleston. Well, all over the city, but thank you. Okay, I see one hand up. It's Dan Jaffe. Dan, can you unmute yourself?
There you go. Sorry. A couple different points. First of all, who is really going to take responsibility of putting up and disassembling this barrier system and enabling the swing gate? Do we have an assigned person?
Sonia, did you want to take care of that question?
Yes, Dan, as I mentioned, we are figuring out exactly who is going to be deploying them, but the Office of Emergency Management is going to be coordinating the efforts, not just for this deployable, but for other deployables throughout the city that you might be aware of.
Okay, I just want to be sure that we do have someone that is notifiable by the police department of Charlestown. When
Yes.
this, so we have a pathway of getting something done if need be. I have a concern in regards to the rail path itself. We have a serious effort going on called C-Link, which is a microbus transit system that we want to run down the Moran Terminal rail path here, as well as having a rail trail path as well. So that 20-foot distance of the fence, of the gate rather, I think maybe a little short for the amount of use that we were planning for. Massport rather has already committed themselves to making this path more viable. So that's probably going to happen before 2030. So I think we need to consider that. Maybe I'm guesstimating maybe 26 feet, which is probably from the width of the quarter space of the rail. And you may need to do a double gate versus single gate with a pin in the middle.
Dan, so what is the time frame again? You're saying it might come in line before 2030, and has
Yes.
this been discussed with CSX? Are they on board with these plans?
This is so long in the happening that the people that are probably in charge now don't even know what the project is. Because back in 15, 16 years ago, we started this and we had permission to utilize the rail path for the microtransit. Then Massport had gotten arrangements with them utilizing it for for a rail trail. So it'd be a pedestrian bicycle way with lighting, and then the transit going down as well. Now, the concept at that time was just to put basically stone dust and gravel to flatten it out so it would be a travelable space for both the walkers as well as the riders and the mass transit, so that it would just be a flat space. There wouldn't be any isolation. Now, the mass port does not want to lose the right of the rails, but the rails are severed and presently and are not usable because they're in very bad shape. So they're going to have to be rebuilt anyway. So that's why the stone dust and gravel made the most sense, because then you can just, rip it right out and then we put new down where it needs to be. And the street space is not even having workable crosswalks, any cross rails possibility at this point anyways, because there's a bridge that is not viable going across Rutherford itself.
So I think we're getting a little far afield from wetlands impacts here. So
right, I don't
Ksania,
want to drive it on. Yeah,
excuse me. So Ksania, you've noted Dan's concerns there. Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, anything else?
Yeah. What was the other thing I was thinking? Oh, the removal of at least the gates, I think needs to be considered when Strauss finally gets their project underway, so that that is no longer present. So the gates removed, you're not having a problem with your log because that's a temporary solution. So that's the only other thing I was going to say. Oh, and the flatness of the space for the sidewalk, that will still be passable for with the foundations that you're putting in, so that we're not having encroachment on the sidewalk. or the bicycle path?
That's correct. So the way this is designed, we're actually just increasing the size of the level area that's already there for the tracks. So that full 20 feet, so that the gate can sit flush with that. So it'll almost be like a typical accessible curb ramp, but going back down to that level area. And then the curb will be flush in that area to allow for basically a wider crossing. So I think that's in line with the use that you're looking for in the future.
Okay, so the rails themselves will be removed from that area?
No, Massport wants us to not touch the rails, which is what drove a lot of that design.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Okay.
Okay,
you.
thank you, Dan. I don't see any other hands. Elena, did you get anything?
Just
In
checking,
your email.
but no, nothing has come in and we didn't receive any comments ahead of the hearing.
Okay, great. Okay, so I would entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions and close the hearing.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner SS Margiazzi,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 4-0. Okay, thank you, Cassania. Thank you for all the work you do. I just wish more people knew about it, but we all appreciate it. And Lieutenant Lee, same goes for you. Thank you for facilitating this important project.
My pleasure. Just quick correction. I'm a civilian. I am not a
Oh,
fireman.
I thought you were, someone called you Lieutenant Lee, so I figured I would pay the same respect. So
No, I appreciate that very much, but I'm
good.
just a city employee like the rest of us.
Okay, if it involves an increase in pay, you should take that title.
I will indeed. Thank you, guys. Thank
Okay.
you, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
just want to make sure, next item on the agenda has been continued, and it is for Epsilon Associates on behalf of Channelside Acquisitions LLC for the proposed construction of a publicly accessible overlook over the 4-point channel, 15 Necco Street and 244-284 A Street in South Boston. Again, that has been continued, and we expect to hear this matter at our meeting in 2 weeks. Okay, so with that, we will move to next item on the agenda, which is a request for a determination of applicability from VHB on behalf of the Massachusetts Port Authority for the proposed replacement of the 3rd floor exterior balcony and construction of an associated overhead canopy at the Flynn Cruise Port, 1 Black Falcon Avenue in South Boston. Who's here on behalf of Massport?
Thanks, Chair Parker. Chris Bush, Environmental Planning Permitting with Massport. Here this evening with Gianluca Corsetti, who's our project manager and capital programs for this work, as well as Chris Wagner with VHB, who will be presenting the project this evening. With that, I'll hand it off to Chris.
Good evening, everyone. Chris Wagner with VHB, here to talk about the cruise port balcony modernization. Next slide, please. Just to give you an overview, this is the existing cruise port building at 1 Black Falcon Avenue. I know this project has been before this commission previously. Next slide. And then this project is for the replacement of an existing balcony that is on the 3rd floor of the building. There'll be a new canopy erected and a new roof placed along the length of that balcony, along with some minor as needed repairs to the surrounding building facade. And just want to note that, as I note on the slide here, this project does have no sort of ground disturbance, no exposed soils associated with it. Next slide, please. In terms of resource areas on the site, the area of balcony replacement is shown in yellow on this slide. So it's about 750 linear feet of balcony, again, up on the 3rd floor of the building. What's shown on this slide here is the existing extent of the flood zone, land subject to coastal storm flowage. So that extends onto the lower pier deck does not reach the third floor balcony. It basically comes, as you can see, partially onto the lower floor deck. And there is also a coastal bank associated with this site at the edge of what is a seawall underneath a portion of the deck. There is a cantilever, a 17-foot cantilever over the seawall. And if we go to the next slide, you can sort of see a profile view of that. The sort of light blue vertical line on this plan is the extent of the coastal bank, and there is an area of cantilever over that, but water can get behind that. So we used the extent of that, the limit of the seawall, as the limit of coastal bank. So if we go to the next slide, that is why you will see on this aerial that the limit of coastal bank appears to be somewhat inboard of the edge of the dock. It's because what we used a little bit more of a conservative measure to place that coastal bank and the associated buffer zone. So in terms of the work that's proposed for the project, again, if this is limited to the balcony replacement. And so that will involve removing the existing balcony, erecting the steel framework and the concrete decking for the new balcony. Again, there'll be minor masonry repairs associated with that for the removal and replacement of the new balcony. And the work will require mainly for the steel erection and concrete decking, some equipment to be placed on the ground level deck, so that there'll be a crane, there'll be a telescoping forklift, and a couple of boom lifts on that lower main deck for the project. And as well, there will be a couple of construction debris and waste dumpsters. And if we go to the next slide, we can just see that those are located over on the east end of the building, and they'll be placed outside the 100-foot buffer zone. Again, no permanent impacts to any resource areas associated with this project, and the project is anticipated to begin early next month, I believe, and then it would extend and be completed before the start of next season, which is April 1st, 2026. Next slide, please. So this is returning to the view that we had from 2 slides ago, showing the construction. And just to point out mitigation measures associated with this project, we have that sort of dark blue line up at the very edge of the existing pier deck. That's for erosion controls. The current state of affairs at Cruiseport is that it's still an active season, and so erosion controls cannot be placed. We don't want to block the movement of foot traffic back and forth along that pier. So instead of wrapping around and extending up, sort of perpendicular to the building on either end, the proposal is to just extend erosion controls at least 25 feet beyond the limits of work in either direction at either end. There really is anticipated to be minimal, debris generation from this project. The removal is going to be done in sections, and the steel erection and concrete decking is they're not anticipated to generate a lot of material waste. And there is also a timber pier existing at the edge of the deck. So this would basically be to just catch any other loose debris that would collect during the course of a day. And at the end of each day, each work day, the area will be swept and the erosion controls will be taken up to allow for passage. At the end of the season, which is in November 10th, then the erosion controls will be left in place afterwards. And then additionally, there'll be spill kits and secondary containment measures on hand as needed. I believe that's it for slides. If we want to hand it over to any questions, any discussion from the commission, we are available.
Okay, Thank you very much. Let's see. So, Chris, as you know, I'm contractually obligated to respond to the excerpt that you have in your cover letter regarding Massport not being subject to the local wetlands ordinance. I disagree, and the commission, we've talked about this before, disagree with that statement, though I know that hopefully we're going to come to a resolution regarding that issue shortly. As far as this project in front of us, I have no questions. Elena, do you have anything?
I did not have anything for this either. We didn't conduct a site visit, but other than that, nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sullivan?
Yeah, I was just curious, what type of materials are used in this whole balcony reconstruction?
Again,
Thanks,
it's
Commissioner Sullivan. I can I can answer that question.
oh, great. Go ahead.
So it's primary. Sorry, this is Chet Myers. I'm the Deputy Director for Project Development, and it's primarily steel. Most of the construction involves the construction of the canopy over the existing balcony. There's going to be some demolition on site. There's an existing concrete curb, and we're going to be installing a new railing along the edge of the balcony that's removable because we're going to be purchasing a new passenger boarding bridge, and we want it to be able to dock anywhere along this new balcony to facilitate passenger transport on or off cruise vessels.
Yeah. All right. That's all. I was just curious more than anything else. Other than that, I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Linay,
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi.
No questions for me on this one.
Okay, thank you. Elena, I don't see any hands up. Did you get anything in the email box?
I am not seeing anything in our inbox, and we didn't receive anything ahead of the hearing either.
Okay, so this would be a issue of a negative determination of applicability with the standard erosion control conditions, Elena, I assume?
Sorry, I muted too quickly. Yes, correct.
Okay, great. Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability with the standard erosion control conditions.
So moved.
Give a second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So that carries 4-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we've had 2 continuances. Continued have been notice of intent for DEP file number 0061996 in Boston, file number 2024-021. Also, DEP file number 0062042 in Boston, file number 2025-014. We'll now begin our regular meeting. First item on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061970 and Boston file number 2023-060 from Childs Engineering on behalf of Charlestown Commerce Center Realty Trust for the installation of a stone riprap revetment within a washed out area of an existing deteriorated seawall located at 50 Terminal Street in Charlestown. Resource areas, riverfront area, waterfront area, designated port area, coastal bank, land subject to coastal storm flowage. What do you have on this, Elena?
Yes, so we conducted a site visit on September 16th. Everything seemed to be constructed according to what was permitted by the commission. We asked a little bit more about how long they expect the repairs to hold, and they thought that they would hold for quite a while. The only note that we have is that we were able to see some parts of the site, but because part of the work included putting a wall along the revetment, we weren't able to get all the way around to actually see the riprap from, like the water's edge down there. So the proponent provided us with some photos, which are also in the drive folder for the commission's review, which were taken shortly after the work was completed. So those weren't our photos. But other than that, we didn't really have anything to note, and everything seems to be ready to go for the project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from any commissioners? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061970 and Boston file number 2023-060.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 4-0. Next item is a request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1597 from Epsilon Associates on behalf of 135 Morrissey Owner LLC for the renovation and landscaping improvements of the former Boston Globe building located at 135 Morrissey Boulevard in Dorchester. Resource area is land subject to coastal storm flowage. Elena?
Yes, so we would recommend that the commission hold off on voting on this. We conducted a site visit, but there were a few outstanding items, actually, namely just the fish plates. So the proponent is working on getting those installed, and we'll do another site visit, and then we will bring this back to the commission for a vote.
Okay, thank you. Next item is a request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1699 from RJ O'Connell and Associates Inc. on behalf of the 874 East 6th Street LLC for the demolition and construction of a multifamily building and underground parking garage located at 874 East 6th Street in South Boston. Resource area land subject to coastal storm flowage. Elena, what about this one?
Yes, so for this one, we also conducted a site visit. We did that on September 11th and asked a few questions about flooding. There hadn't been any flooding since the building was finished. Construction pretty much went as expected. Just noting that the original project included a below ground parking area, and the proponent had come back for an amendment, and so there isn't anything there. The parking is at grade level, it's not below ground. The one flag that I did have, I just wanted to make sure that this was on the record, is that we did receive an email from one of the direct abutters. They shared that they had experienced some pretty bad flooding earlier this year, and that was after this project was completed. So they expressed their concern that perhaps the project as it was completed could have impacted the way that the flooding occurred at their site. They just wanted this to be entered into the public record.
Okay, did they submit any evidence other than a statement that they believe that the...
No. Yeah, so this is
Okay.
Yeah, this is the emails are in the drive folder. for the
Anecdotal.
commission's
Okay.
page as well.
Okay, so it's in the record. Okay, thank you. Any questions from any commissioners?
I had one question. Why do we have a DEP file number with no BOS number, Boston number?
For this project?
Yeah.
This project, and I just want to make sure that this is
Could have
correct. I believe that
predated.
this project was permitted before the ordinance, but
Okay.
let me make sure.
Okay.
And as an aside,
That's correct. It was assigned in 2019.
Okay, and as an aside, Boston Water Sewer and ISD, the council, Boston City Council, have been dealing with the neighbor that has been flooding. They have concluded that, in fact, the flooding they get, which is an extremely deep basement, is groundwater. And they really believe it, you know, it's the infiltration systems they have to put in. They're saying they weren't there before, now they're there, so the first inch of water goes in the ground. And the answer is, yep, that's what happens, and groundwater will rise when you pour water on the ground. So they're reconstructing the basement of, I think it's 871 or 2. But anyway, the next door neighbor to that particular building.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because this one didn't have any infiltration basins.
They did. They in their back. They're
874?
Yeah. In the back of their building, they have a infiltration gallery.
Okay, I misunderstood what you said. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, they do have it, and they didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that was
Okay.
causing it. We don't know. In the neighborhood, there's about 10 of them. So
Got it.
trying to prove whose groundwater it is gets very difficult. So
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1699.
So moved.
You have a second?
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan.
Aye.
Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner SS Smargiassi,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 4-0. Okay, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Sullivan, for providing that info. Next item on the agenda, administrative updates. Vote to approve and accept the conservation restriction on a portion of parcel 6, 400 Melniacas Boulevard in Roxbury per the Massachusetts Acts of 2014, Chapter 281. Elena, this is what we discussed and had a presentation at our last hearing, correct?
Correct, yes. Alice Brown from the Environment Department is on as well to provide a bit of an intro to this and a refresher for anybody who may have forgotten the details of what we discussed last week, or rather 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't have a formal presentation, Chair Parker, but I'm here to answer any questions if any of the commissioners wanted to know anything else after last week's discussion and having had time to review the CR.
Okay. Okay, I think we were all here, right? Or Commissioner Lene, you weren't. You were up in Maine fighting mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Smargiassi, were you here last
No,
time?
I was away from that meeting as well.
Okay. Do either of you have any questions on this?
I looked at the material in the folder. I didn't have any questions based on that.
Yeah, no questions.
Okay. Okay, so with that, I guess I would entertain a motion to approve and accept the conservation restriction on a portion of parcel 8 for 100 Melnia Cass Boulevard in Roxbury.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Lene?
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that carries 4-0. Okay, thank you, Alice.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, next item on the agenda, acceptance of the meeting minutes reviewed August 20th, September 3rd is not available, so this would
Chair
be,
Parker,
okay,
apologies.
go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt. A few notes. One of them was that there was a second admin update, and then the other
Oh, okay.
was there were some perpetual maintenance conditions for the COCs, and I just wanted to confirm that the commission was comfortable with us attaching those to the certificate of compliance.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, great. And then for the second administrative update, there were some wayfinding signs that are proposed at 5 to 15 Necco Street. So this is relatively close to where that Fort Point Overlook project is proposed. All of this has been recently redeveloped, and it's just these 4 signs. Of course, usually we look at impacts in square feet, but they provided us with the cubic foot impact, and that is 4.86 cubic feet of impacts within LSCSF and about 2.34 cubic feet within the 100-foot buffer to coastal bank. And based on that, we thought the most appropriate way to go about permitting this is through an administrative approval. The request is in the drive folder for the commission's review, and then the approval that we drafted with special conditions attached, as well as an exhibit showing where those 4 signs would be going, are all in the drive folder. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Seemed appropriately efficient.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Okay, so no action on that. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, so now we'll go to acceptance of meeting minutes. We have August 20th prepared. I entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes from August 20th, 2025.
So moved.
Have a second. Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Lene?
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 4-0. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much to staff and everybody who helped put this hearing together. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and I assume there's no objections to adjournment at this time.
Let me see John's dog again.
I don't know. I'm having a great time here.
We need a cameo from your dog before we go.
No, he just ran back outside to eat a rabbit or something. I don't know.
Okay,
Aw.
next time, Commissioner Lene.
So cute.
Okay. Okay, everyone. See you in a few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.